I think it's the most overused technique ever in mixing. Try not to add top end. If the guitars are too wide, the mix is too wide. I definitely don't have the same EQ for the whole song on a vocal.
Hey guys, Chris Galland here. I'm going to rate some of these mix tricks and give you my crazy philosophies. Enjoy.
Okay, Chris, rate these mix tricks. 10 for great, 0 for garbage. Question 1, high pass everything.
Garbage. That's like a 2. High pass filters, you guys, listen to them. I'll put a high pass filter on a kick drum and it becomes more low end, depending on where I put it. 24 dB per octave at 24 hertz on your stereo bus will either give you a punchier kick or less low end. You gotta listen to it. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they make a vocal sound tiny.
Always mix with a reference track.
10 plus, 11, 25 million. If you don't have the ability to listen to what your client is listening to, you have already lost. That is your map. You will never find the treasure. You need to hear what you've been hired to mix. So having the reference track, yes. If you're talking about referencing other songs for your mix, I put that at about a 1 because your reference for other songs should be right here. If you chase the sound of another recording, you're going off. Chase your memory of the emotion of that recording instead. You'll have much better success.
Mixing in mono.
We're mixing in mono a lot no matter what because we're not going to sit in the sweet spot all day long. So everyone's gonna be mixing in mono. I think it's super important. I think you are gonna step out of the stereo center image. I think most people listen to music in mono, whether they know it or not. Even in your car, you're kind of listening to the left side of the mix more than the right. So yes, mixing in mono, I'm gonna give that 7.
Sidechain compression.
I'm gonna give that a 3. I think that's almost more of a production technique. It can be useful in mixing for controlling things. You know, the obvious, sidechain a bass with the kick drum. But I also found that can be very overused. Also, sidechain the bass with the kick drum might make the kick drum sound like it has less low end. So use your ears, guys. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Checking your mix in the car.
If you listen to a lot of music in a car and you're used to the sound of the car, then that's a 10 for you. I ride a bicycle, so 0.
EQ'ing to the key and scale of the song.
0. It's nonsense. I've never heard of that. I think of the key if I have to tune vocals. Otherwise, I don't think about it. 0.
Tune every vocal.
As a mixer, that's not the job you were hired to do, period. So 0. As a producer, absolutely 0. You shouldn't tune everything. You're going to lose the emotion of the singer. You can certainly overtune things and ruin them. So we hear it all the time.
Mixing through your master chain as soon as possible.
A 10? You're always mixing for the end result. I think it's absolutely silly to throw some extra limiting on after you're done with the mix. That means you're just sending something out that you haven't been living with. I like to send my clients what I have been listening to the whole time.
Hard panning guitars, left and right.
Sure, let's give that one an 8. At that point, if the guitars are too wide, the mix is too wide. Yeah, I'm pretty for hard panning vocals and guitars, at least to start, and then if it feels too wide, let's bring it in. Here's an idea. Why don't we pan our guitars in a little bit on the verse and then go full pan on the chorus?
Never boost EQ, only cut.
I am a fan of cutting. I am a fan of cutting, but certainly not a never. How about this? I'm gonna give that a 5, and I'm gonna say, try cutting first. And, you know, let's just take vocals, for example. Cut, 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 turn it up, compress it. Cut, 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 turn it up, compress it. Try not to add top end. Try to get your top end to sound right on a vocal just using cuts. And if you still can't get it there, then maybe add a tiny bit of top end.
Only using one reverb for the whole mix.
0. That's silly. That's so silly. Hey, listen, if you're going for that type of a production where it all sounds like it's in the same room, I'm still going to use more than one reverb. Sure, there might be one main reverb, but we're going to be using reverbs for more things than just creating a space. So I never see a reason to just use one reverb. Unless the song has one cello, and that's the whole song.
If the mix sounds good on AirPods, it sounds good on anything.
0. I think that a lot of us listen to music outside of headphones. So I actually don't listen to music a lot in headphones. So no, I think it's important to listen in headphones more and more than it used to be. I wouldn't start a mix on headphones. I need to feel the music moving in the room.
Stereo imaging plugins.
Essential. We mix in stereo. There's so much you can do to spread sounds and have them occupy a different space. You know, I particularly love when I have like a mono synth and I'm able to make it stereo. And now all of a sudden it can be featured in a song in a completely different way. That's a 10.
Parallel compression?
1. Barely ever use it. I think it's the most overused technique ever in mixing. I think it's for people who don't really understand compression. I would like to control the compression. I don't necessarily need some other extra compression going on in the background that I'm not really aware of. I find it more troublesome. I end up fighting it. So I pretty much never use it.
Always mix at low volumes.
0. You need to mix at loud volumes. In fact, most every other mixer, and myself included, we're gonna start at almost our loudest volume. That's where I'm really gonna be able to feel the compression on the mix bus. I'm gonna feel the way I'm sculpting the low end. I absolutely will not start a mix at my home studio because I cannot listen loud enough.
Color coding every track before you start a mix.
I'm gonna give that like an 8, actually. Session organization is integral. If you aren't doing it yourself, hire somebody, because that hour you spend setting up your session, you're now gonna be spending mixing the song. Doesn't matter how many hours in the day, you're gonna have a certain number of focused hours, and that time when you're focused on the mix, you need to move and think as non-technical as possible. Anything that's gonna help you navigate your session is going to result in a better mix. Hands down.
How important is gain staging?
10. It's kind of everything. That's like saying how important is stereo bus processing. That's how you're gluing everything together. That kind of is the mix. You're going too low into things, you're getting nothing from them. You're going too hot into things, you're not getting the result that's desired. I find going hotter into my stereo bus tends to work better for me, for the way that I like to sculpt things. But sometimes I find myself, working in another producer or mixer's world, and a lot of people feel like you're supposed to go into the stereo bus super, super quiet and then use a limiter to bring it up 12 dB. Well, guess what? You just let the limiter mix the record for you. You just given up the reins to your software. You can't turn anything up now because guess what? The stereo bus is now controlling all of that. With good gain structure and proper use of compression and limiting, little moves sound like big moves. I can turn something up a half a dB and it's like, whoa, that's too loud. Having good gain structure is going to allow you to keep hold of those reins and make changes that you hear.
Volume automation on vocals.
It's pretty hard to have one vocal level that works for the whole song. I definitely don't have the same EQ for the whole song on a vocal, so I'm going to give that one a 10.
Starting every mix with the kick drum.
If it's a groove-oriented song, I'm not really going to start mixing it without the kick. I tend to find that I will have the kick, snare, hi-hat, and bass. Basically, most of the rhythm sections coming in the first 30 seconds. I don't know how to EQ the kick without the bass. So yeah, the kick's gonna be the first sound I unmute, but I'm immediately going to bring in the rest of the rhythm section so that I know how everybody works with one another. It's a tricky one. If the song has a kick, sure, it's the first thing in, but I can't really give that a 10. How about a 7? All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.